Why do some DJs turn a packed club into their stage, while others never play beyond their bedroom? I watched hundreds of DJs, from bedroom streamers to club DJs to festival headliners, to figure out what actually separates a hobby DJ from a pro. And I found out it's not about gear or flashy tricks, it's something most people miss. So in this video, I'm gonna show you the 7 things that separate hobby DJs from the pros. And the last one, it's literally why so many DJs never make it outside of their bedrooms. Mistake number 1. Let me take you back to one of my most humbling DJ moments. I'm up there, headphones on, ready to unleash a transition I was sure was gonna melt faces. I hit play, the beats lined up, and I'm grinning like I just solved world peace. And then I look up, and the crowd is about as excited as a room full of accountants on a Monday morning. No hands in the air, no hype, just a sea of polite head nods. Ouch. And that's when I realized I wasn't mixing, I was just throwing tracks together whenever it felt convenient. And guess what? Hobby DJs do this all the time. They think if the beats match, they're golden. But the pros, they know the real magic isn't just in how you mix, but when you mix. It's all about phrasing. Phrase mixing is a secret handshake of DJing. It means lining up the parts of 2 songs so they actually make sense. Verse to verse, breakdown to breakdown, drop to drop. Most tracks are built in chunks of 8, 16, or 32 beats. And if you mix at the wrong moment, the vocals crash into each other, the energy drops, and suddenly your dance floor feels like a middle school slow dance. The crowd might not know why it feels off, but trust me, they feel it. Once I started paying attention to phrasing, really planning my transitions, everything changed. My sets had a flow and an energy and an intention, and the crowd could feel it too. But here's the thing. Even if your phrasing is flawless, there's still one mistake that can torpedo your set faster than you can say train wreck transition. Mistake number 2. Let me confess, when I started, every set was basically a love letter to my own taste. I'd stack the decks with tracks I was obsessed with, and I'd throw in mixes I thought were pure genius. And, no surprise, I'd be up there vibing like I had just invented music. But the dance floor, it was emptying out faster than free pizza at a college party. And that's when it hit me. DJing isn't about you, it's about them, the crowd. The people who actually decide whether your set is legendary or forgettable. See, hobby DJs get trapped in their own playlists and they treat the crowd like an afterthought, just hoping everyone magically loves their favorite tunes. The pros are like party detectives. They're scanning the floor. They're clocking who is dancing and who is sneaking out. And when the mood shifts from let's go to let's get out of here. Now, reading the crowd doesn't mean you become a human jukebox, taking every random request. It's about feeling the energy and knowing when to ramp things up, when to pull back, and when to drop that track that everyone's secretly waiting for. The moment I stopped treating my sets like a personal playlist and I started treating them like a conversation, me and the crowd, back and forth, that is when the magic happened. And suddenly, there was a real connection. The energy was electric and not predictable. But even if you can read a room like a mind reader, there's still one rookie mistake that can tank your reputation before the night is even over. Mistake number 3. Let me paint you a picture. One of my first big gigs, I decided to celebrate behind the decks. And a couple of drinks in, I'm feeling good, maybe a little too good. And suddenly I miss a cue, and then I botch the next transition. And then by the end of the night, it's obvious I've turned my set into a train wreck. And here's where a lot of hobby DJs go off the rails. They treat gigs like a night out with their friends instead of like an actual job. But pros know they're the pilot of this party plane. The crowd is strapped in, trusting you not to nosedive the vibe. If you're too distracted or too drunk or high, you're flying blind. And trust me, people notice. One sloppy transition and suddenly the energy's gone. The promoter is giving you side eye, and your phone is definitely not ringing for a rebooking. Having a drink or two is fine. Nobody's saying you have to be a monk. But when your focus slips, so does your reputation. People who book you want DJs who look in control. The more you look like the captain of the ship, the more respect you get, and the more likely you are to get rebooked. And rebooking means more fun, more experience, and more money. And speaking of money, there's a mistake a lot of DJs make that drains their wallet faster than a bar tab at closing time, and it does nothing for their skills. Mistake number 4. When I first started out, I was convinced that the secret to greatness was just one shiny gadget away. If I get that fancy new controller, I will sound like a festival headliner. So I saved up. I bought the newest controller. I plugged it in, and guess what? My mixes didn't magically transform. The crowd didn't suddenly lift me on their shoulders and chant my name. In fact, nothing really changed, except my bank balance. And this is the classic trap. Hobby DJs treat gear like a magic potion. Buying new toys feels like progress. You get that dopamine rush. Look at me, I'm leveling up. But the reality, fancy gear doesn't fix wobbly fundamentals. So think of it like this. It's like buying a top-of-the-line blender and expecting it to make you a smoothie king when you still don't know the difference between a banana and a zucchini. Pros? They can whip up magic with a toaster if they have to. They only upgrade when the new gear actually makes their job easier or their sound better. The truth is that money is way better spent building your music library or learning by taking courses or getting coached. And at the end of the day, nobody cares if your setup looks like the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. They want a DJ who can throw down and make the night unforgettable. And even if you've got the perfect spaceship, there's one last mistake that can instantly out you as a hobbyist. Mistake number 5. When I first discovered effects, I went absolutely wild. Echoes, filters, loops, you name it. I thought if I threw enough bells and whistles at the crowd, I would look like a wizard behind the decks. And I ended up sounding more like a kid who just found the demo button on a keyboard. Here's the truth. Hobby DJs lean on effects like they're trying to win a prize for the most buttons pushed. But pros know effects are like hot sauce. A little dash can light up the whole dish, but if you dump the whole bottle in, you've just ruined dinner for everyone. Look at the big dogs. James Hype, for example. Sure, he pulls off some wild tricks. But if you really listen, he balances those flashy moments with killer track selection. It's not all fireworks all the time. A perfectly timed echo or a slick filter sweep, that's the secret sauce that can take your mix from meh to wow. If you're constantly twisting knobs and throwing effects at everything, it just turns into a noisy mess. And trust me, the crowd can smell trying too hard from a mile away. Because even the flashiest tricks won't save you if you're caught unprepared when it's showtime. Mistake number 6. Back in the day, my prep was basically dumping a stack of tracks into a USB and praying to the DJ gods for mercy. And sure, I could stumble through a set, but it was chaos. Me frantically scrolling, sweating bullets, glued to my laptop trying to figure it out while the crowd waited for something or anything to happen. And this is classic hobby DJ behavior. Skip the prep, skip the planning, just wing it and hope for the best. No track analysis, no cue points, no organized playlists, just vibes and a prayer. But the pros? Pros are like chefs before a big dinner. They chop, they prep, and they lay everything out. They analyze BPM, key, beat grids, cue points, set and ready. Playlists? They're built for every possible vibe, from opening warm-up to 3 a.m. dance floor meltdown. And all that prep work means when it's go time, the pros aren't buried in their laptops, they're reading the crowd, they're riding the energy, and they're actually performing. Is a difference between scrambling to find your keys in a messy room and gliding out the door like you've got your life together. But even if you are perfectly prepped, there's still one silent mistake that quietly keeps talented DJs from ever getting booked. Mistake number 7. I used to think All I had to do was play killer sets and the gigs would just come rolling in. I practiced for months. I waited for my inbox to blow up, but guess what? Nada. And it turns out you cannot get booked if nobody knows you exist. And hobby DJs, they wait for gigs like they're waiting for a winning lottery ticket. The pros treat themselves like the brand that they are. They're posting clips, they're sharing mixes, they're making sure promoters and fans can't open their phones without seeing their face. You're not selling out, you're just making it easy for people to find you. And here's the deal. In these days, if a promoter can't find you online, you're basically a ninja. You might be cool, but you're invisible. And invisible DJs don't get booked. So if you want to stand out, it's not just about your skills, it's about being seen. And if you need a simple way to start showing up online, watch this next video and I'll show you how to get your sets online. No stress, no cringe, just results.